I don't know what it is with VTubers and wanting to take advantage of artists or treat them like crap, but for some reason, it's like a continuing trend that I see. Obviously, not all VTubers do this. Most of them treat the artists very well, as you should. But there's always like a group of VTubers that kind of just, I don't know, they want to almost kind of get over one when it comes to artists. And I've said this before and I'll continue to say it. When it comes to VTubing, the artist is like the most important part when it comes to your resources and creating content as a VTuber. A lot of people don't, I don't know, it's not they don't understand this, but it's like they don't care. Or some people, I keep saying a lot of VTubers, it's not a lot of VTubers. I want to be very clear on that because I don't want to make it sound like everybody's trying to take advantage of artists in this space, because that's not true. But there's always a select few that always try to tell artists how they should run their business, essentially. And the reason I even bring this up is I seen another tweet online that people were discussing, talking about how essentially if VTuber artists lowered their prices, they'd be able to make more money. And when you boil it down to what they were saying, that's just, you know, me summarizing what the entire tweet said. There was more there. But when you boil it down to what they were saying, it was pretty much saying, hey, if you lower your prices and work more, you can make more money, which I guess is true. But when it comes to art, art is a luxury, right? And creating good art takes time. And if you want a good VTuber model, you know, you want the artist to be able to take their time. But at the same time, when it comes to the artists themselves, they have bills to pay, right? And it makes way more sense for them to charge more, especially if their work is worth it. It makes more sense for them to charge more and take on less clients. So not only they can provide higher quality results, but they can also have, you know, free time. They can have a life and they're not grinding away at their desk 24 hours trying to make a bunch of different VTuber models and assets for, you know, pennies on the dollar or extremely cheaper, when they can just charge, you know, more money and just do it that way. And I know maybe some VTubers aren't artists themselves, they don't really understand that concept, which is possible, and that's perfectly fine if that's the case. But if that's the case, maybe don't say things like that if you really don't have any idea of what goes on behind actually, you know, the marketing and the money and the time that it takes to make these VTuber models and assets. Now, I'm not making this video to kind of like shit on this, you know, creator that made this tweet. I just always want to talk about this because I really think it's important as a VTuber, especially if you're just starting out and you're not that big, to build good relationships with artists, especially if you only work with one specific artist, because artists talk. And when it comes to the VTubing space, a lot of the artists are friends with each other, or they're kind of like, they communicate with each other. So if you're a bad client, they're going to let people know and they're not going to want to work with you in the future. So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot when it comes to this topic. Also, keep in mind, you don't need to go out and hire the most expensive artist out there to get a VTuber model done or get assets done. There's plenty of places you can go where artists either give free resources or they're relatively cheap for what, you know, compared to everybody else. There's definitely VTuber artists out there that are willing to work within your budget. You just have to look for them. And I think a lot of VTubers get started in this space and they think they have to have the biggest and best model ever and the most expensive assets. And it's just like, you don't. You can get started relatively cheaper. You just have to be willing, you know, to put in the work to find these artists that are willing to work with you in your budget. I also think some newer VTubers get in the headspace of trying to compete with the bigger VTubers or trying to like keep up with them, when like you can't do that. They have the resources, the time to, you know, be able to have a new model every year or every couple of months or whatever. Like when you're just getting started, you shouldn't even be trying to spend that much money regardless. And you shouldn't be trying to get a 2.0 model, 3.0 model like every couple of months. It's just not worth it. You need to focus on making content. You know, just get your first model and just ride that until the wheels fall off, or until you're able to actually make that money and reinvest it and, you know, maybe get a better model if that's what you want to do. But going online and telling artists to lower their prices because they'll make more money, and I don't know, to me it's just a silly thing. I still don't see why we keep seeing VTubers do this. And it's mostly, like I said, I think it's mostly just newer VTubers getting in the space and they just want to keep up with what the bigger VTubers are doing. It's just not feasible. You shouldn't really even be doing that and focusing on that when you're first starting out, in my opinion anyway, you know, my very humble opinion. Anyway, that's it for this video. That's my thoughts on this topic. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll talk to you in the next one.